Hey there, it's Susie. How about a little soul care? So, about, I don't know, 30, when I was 30 years old, my husband Will made a big mistake. He gifted me with a horseback riding lesson. When I was a child, I rode horses and I always wanted to ride, but I wasn't able to when I stopped riding in high school, and then I just always had a longing to ride horses. And so for my 30th birthday, Will decided to gift me with one horseback riding lesson. He had no idea that that would turn into 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, and that my daughters, Emily and Sarah, at the time who were like little itty bitties elementary school kids, cried and cried because they wanted to ride horses too. So I don't know, 25 years later, after riding all different kinds of horses, owning a few hundreds of lessons, and I'm a horsewoman, and it is my hobby. And I am so grateful to Will and God for putting me in a position to be able to ride horses. Today, I want to talk to you about how having a hobby can be really good for your soul. So many of us work and work and work and work, and it's good. It's good for us to be diligent and to be hard workers. But one of the things that is really important in taking care of your soul is for you to have just a space where you play, where you do something that you just really love, something that's just for you, that you don't get paid to do it. It doesn't promote your profession or whatever. It's just something that you do to play. I actually went through a transition this summer where we had a horse and we ended up donating her because she needed a new job. And so she was going to a new space and I wasn't able to ride as much. And I tell you what, I ended up talking to my spiritual director, Janet, about it a lot because there were several times during the summer where, because of the things that were going on nationally and worldwide and just personally in our lives, I was getting really down. And I actually asked her, I was like, do you think I'm getting depressed? And we figured out that one of the things that had happened over the summer, including all the things going on worldwide and in our nation, but in my own personal life, I wasn't able to get to the barn because I didn't have an animal to ride. And she pointed out something that was really important to me and that I really had to think about a lot. But she said, Susie, for you, riding is a spiritual practice. And I thought about it and I was like, you're right. You know what? It's this thing that I get to do where I'm just me. I'm out there enjoying this beautiful animal. I'm able to ride and just get tired because it's exhausting. And it's something special between me and God. And I realized, I was like, you know what? I started to come to accept that having a hobby can be a spiritual practice. I want to encourage you, if you haven't, I've talked about this book a lot, but if you haven't read The Practice of the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence, it's a beautiful little book. I want to encourage you to read it because he talks about how when we are truly walking with God, everything that we do can be something where we experience God's presence. And having a hobby is certainly one of those. Now, I want to talk to you about hobbies just for a minute because sometimes when I ask people, what's your hobby? They literally go blank. They're like, I don't think I have a hobby. And so I want to talk to you about some things that could be considered hobbies. And I'll just talk about them in my life. I mentioned horseback riding, something that I consider a hobby. Writing. I journal every morning. It's a spiritual practice. I consider that something that I do that's really good for my soul, and I consider that a hobby. Creek walking. Hobby. I love it. There's a creek behind our house. I walk in the creek. I just enjoy myself. I'm there with God, and it's one of my hobbies. Cooking, gardening. I love doing those things. Will loves hiking, and it's a hobby of his that he really enjoys, and it refuels him. It makes his soul healthy. And so that's something that he does that's really good. But I just want to encourage you to think about things that might be that you could, just something you love to do. And I don't count, this is so funny, social media, I mean, I guess it could be a hobby, but when you have grandchildren and they're old enough to have conversations with you and they say, what's your hobby? Do you want to say, well, I'm really good at social media, or I love scrolling, or I just love watching Netflix. Not that TV watching can't be a hobby, but really, what is a hobby that you could develop that would be good and healthy for your soul? Something that you could do, and while you're doing it, you're able to commune with God. That's what good soul care looks like. And so I just want to encourage you, get out there and get a hobby. Find yourself some fun. And while you're doing it, remember the good Lord who's giving you the energy and the creativity and the love of life to just do that. That's what good soul care looks like.
Chipping away at something I find worth fighting for. Slower than the rain. I'll be waiting by the door.